Welcome to Spirits Podcast, a boozy tour through mythology, legends, and folklore. Every week we pour a drink and learn about a new story from around the world. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Julia.
And this is episode 81, Bathala and His Daughters.
Yeah, I am excited for this one. It's nice to take a trip back to the Philippines for this episode.
Absolutely. It made me feel hot and humid as we were recording, and I very much appreciated the drink that you made for this episode in particular.
I do love tequila during the summer. I think this is going to be my summer drink is going to be tequila. Usually I go gin.
Me too. Exactly. I like a light rum, a gin. We were really big into gin last summer. But, tequila and mezcal, like my faves right now.
You know what the thing is? They're like, it's a little bit of saltiness to the drink. And then it adds like a nice contrast to whatever sweet thing you're mixing it with. So the drink that we made for this one is kind of a twist on an ocean mist, which you can find a link to a traditional ocean mist in the description of this podcast.
I think an ocean mist is my favorite dance move to do on a yacht.
That is correct. Good job.
People who frequently dance on yachts in the summertime are our new patrons, Rose, Iron, and Anna, as well as our supporting producer level patrons, Neil, Philip, Julie, Christina, Josh, Eeyore, Jessica, Maria, Cami, Ryan, Phil Fresh, and Deborah.
You all, your best friends never die. That was depressing as soon as it came out of my mouth. I'm sorry. But it's relevant to the episode.
It is relevant to the episode. And if you want to drink to forget, which we don't always suggest, but if you decide to do that responsibly, you can turn to our friends at shakerandspoon.com. We partnered with Shaker and Spoon, who are one of our sponsors and one of our absolute faves, to do the legend level boxes for our patrons this month. So the people that get physical merch in the mail from us every single month, they got a classy ass box of cocktail stuff, supplies, and a jigger and a juicer, and it was so good. And you can use all of your new supplies to make some delicious pisco related cocktails.
It was very classy. Our dear friend Leanne Davis posted pictures of it on Twitter, and I was like, dear God, why didn't I get one of those?
I know. We got to work it out. But if you guys want to go check out Shaker and Spoon, which do like these incredible cocktail boxes that they send to you every single month, you can go to shakerandspoon.com and use the code SPIRITS for $20 off your first box.
You would be joining the ranks of Sandra, Audra, Mercedes, Ashley, Buggy, Ashley Marie, Leanne, and Cassie.
Yeah, that sounds like a true party, as well as the wonderful summer trips that people have been telling us about on Twitter. People are going on road trips. People are going on plane trips. I know that we know somebody that's spending the summer at sea doing like a semester in marine school, which is so neat.
That's cool as hell.
Do you know what a trip is a great excuse to do, Julia?
I think it's a great excuse to show your friend a creepy podcast that will make you think that you're seeing ghosts on the side of the road as you drive through the country.
Not creepy at all, or like lay on a beach. That's how I listen to creepy podcasts myself, is like lay in the sunshine and keep my eyes open as I scan the horizon and listen to creepy podcasts.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, but listen, if you have friends who are traveling, if you're taking trips with friends, if you're about to go on a trip and you haven't listened to any of the other shows on Multitude, take your friend's phone, subscribe them to Spirits, subscribe them to Potterless, subscribe them to Join the Party, to Waystation. We have so much great stuff for you. If you like the show, you're going to love the others as well. So that's the absolute best way to help us out, to help start our summer off on the right note and keep the show growing.
Yeah, and keep yourself entertained. There's long days where you're not in school or not at your job, and you should enjoy it by listening to creepy ass shit.
I love it a lot. That is kind of how we do. So without further ado, enjoy Spirits Podcast, episode 81, Bathala and His Daughters.
Amanda, you know what I love? What? I love complex family dynamics in mythology.
Yeah.
I know that's a very specific thing to love, but here I am talking about it with you.
I mean, pretty good podcast to start if you want to talk about it more.
You know what is also something that I love?
Musicals.
Yes.
Peanut butter pretzel flavor combo.
Yes.
Floral gin.
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
What?
Also, on top of all of those things,
thank you,
I love amazing mythological daughters.
Yeah.
So this week we are going to talk about the daughters of Bathala.
Okay.
And Bathala, who is also known as Batalang Melika, or the actor of creation, or Batalang Maikalpal, or the actor of power, is the supreme being and creator of the universe for the Tagalog people of the Philippines.
Yo, what's up, Philippines?
We're heading back to the Philippines. It's been a minute.
Yeah, listeners from the Philippines remain, I think, the most engaged and like national pride listeners of all. Like every other week, we get a tweet from somebody about the aswang, and like keep them coming. I love them.
I'm going to call back, I guess, to our aswang episode and be like, I apologize in advance for any mispronunciation that I do.
We learn as we go. We try our best, and we are always excited to learn more stuff.
100%. So sorry in advance. Let's do this. Let's get a little bit of interesting background about the Tagalog people's beliefs.
Okay.
So the Tagalog religion is known as Tagalismo because Spain, and it is a mix of polytheism and animism, which later had influences of Hinduism through trade with Asian states.
Okay.
When the Spanish colonized the Philippines, they brought Roman Catholicism with them because that's what they always do, and they forced it upon the Tagalog people in an effort to replace the shamanistic belief systems.
I bet there's some syncretism on the horizon.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know how it goes. Even though by the 18th century, most Tagalogs were adhering to Catholicism, there was a secret passing down of indigenous beliefs to younger generations and preserving the belief system, which, let's be real, is my favorite goddamn thing in the world. And I see you like fist pumping in the background.
I super am. Good job. Good job.
I know, it's really good. So while Bathala predates the arrival of Spanish missionaries, he is later identified with the Christian God, and in some Tagalog languages, specifically Visayan languages, Bathala is synonymous with God.
Cool.
Etymologists, my favorite people in the world, believe that the name comes from the Sanskrit word for noble lord, and in Indonesian language, Batara means God, and the feminine form is Batari.
Wow.
Which I got real into etymology this episode.
I know. Any like linguistic, etymological, diversion that includes Sanskrit is probably going to be great.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. 100% at the time. You cannot find me a word that does not fall into that category that is not amazing.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Try me.
Give me a word with Sanskrit origins that isn't fucking awesome.
I've got a quick description of Bathala, though it's from a Spanish source, so just take that with a grain of salt as we move forward.
Yeah, we do our best to find primary sources when we can from people who, are experiencing and actually living these beliefs, but sometimes the historical record is patriarchal and white supremacist and, colonial as fuck. So we do our best.
Yep, all those things. So I quote, "They said that this god of theirs was in the air before there was heaven or earth or anything else, that he was ab eterno, from eternity, and not made or created by anybody from anything, and that he alone made and created all that we have mentioned simply by his own volition, because he wanted to make something so beautiful as the heaven and the earth, and that he made and created one man and one woman out of the earth, from whom have come and descended all the men and their generations that are in the world." And that sounds a little familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, I imagine that the writer of this text, was kind of interpreting that as evidence for the rightness of his own presumably Christian beliefs. Like, wow, look at this story. It's so similar. This must be the God that I believe in, experienced and told by someone completely alien to me.
Right. And that is a completely valid reading of the source and all of that. I think you could also read it as, hey, as human beings, we tend to come up with the same stories.
Exactly. So to a Spanish missionary, that's probably what it sounded like. To me, it sounds like, wow, human beings have been asking the same questions all over the world for all time.
Yeah.
Where do we come from? Who made us? Where do they come from? And it is pretty cool, the kinds of, I don't know, like the psychology we imagine of a deity, which is by definition so like alien and unlike us and bigger than us. But the fact that we imagine like either they want to see beauty or they're lonely or they want to like try out their skills and like level up constantly. I think it's pretty like, I don't want to say adorable, but like it's very humanizing that human beings imagine like the highest form of being as also like wanting to look at pretty things and, not be lonely.
And I like to just kind of put myself in the heads of the folks who are trying to imagine these things. They're like, okay, so how did we get here? Something created the universe. What's the something? A god. Who made the god? He's just been there always. So why did he make the universe? He wanted something pretty. Okay, cool, I guess. How did humans get there? He made them out of dirt. Why dirt?
It was there.
It's there. I just like it. I just like the like kind of weird improv circles that must have happened in order to like philosophically come up with a reason behind creation.
Yeah, and not to say that it's, you know, a story that doesn't mean a lot to people,
right,
and
no,
that there
of
are
course
like
it does.
very sophisticated theological like reasoning that people have discovered / come up with over history. But I personally find real connection to people who've come before me by imagining them in like a really humanized way.
Yes.
And thinking of kids as asking like, Mom, why is the sky blue? God made it that way. Or like, why fire? Okay, so Zeus got mad one day. And, you know, like it's just, it really makes me smile and makes me have a lot more kind of empathy and understanding for people outside my own time.
Oh yeah, I prescribe to the belief that like human beings are very intelligent.
Yeah.
But when we're just starting to figure something out,
Yeah.
it takes us a minute to get there.
And also it's the most like distilled like vanilla extract version of a story that gets passed on over time. Like you really strip it down to the basics, which is why I love when we're able to bring like really lyrical and poetic, you know, like sources into a discussion, because that's so rare. So often it's like, you know, the fewest number of words possible that gets kind of transported across the centuries and the millennia.
Yes, I completely agree. I didn't want to make it seem as though we are dismissing the concept of creation stories.
For sure. But that's how we understand it and like wrap our minds around it.
Is like, I put myself in the situation like, if I were trying to understand why the universe was made
for the first time,
I
like
would
I
not
can't
be
imagine
good at it.
I know.
I would suck at it.
Me too.
Okay, so moving back on to Bathala. Part of the worship of Bathala has to do with Anito, which literally means the literal act of worship.
Okay.
Which basically it is offered prayers and sacrifices to ancestral spirits.
Alrighty, makes sense.
So the devotions are given to the ancestral spirits because Bathala is a great lord and no one can speak with him directly because he lives in Kalawahation, which basically is heaven. And the ancestral spirits provide for the living for Bathala. So they're kind of a intermediary.
Oh, I see. I thought the train was going the other way around.
No.
Yes. So the ancestral spirits kind of stand between heaven and earth, and they provide what Bathala can't because he's too far away.
Yes.
Nice.
When a person dies, the soul of that person becomes one of these spirits that serves Bathala.
Oh yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
And kind of a really interesting example of a bigger concept that, you know, those who go on or around you, you know, and like can participate in your life in some way. But this idea that, you know, someone who has died becomes like part of like the fundamental act of like a deity's love and like keeping of human beings is pretty lovely.
Right. And that they're still part of a community and network even after they die. And they're still assisting the people that they love.
Yeah. And a community stays together. And I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do too. There are a couple of different accounts on how Bathala made the world.
All right.
One story tells how Bathala was so gigantic that the sun shone bright beside him as he hunched under the sun, too tall to straighten up without burning himself.
Oh my.
Which I like that a lot.
I got some Sisyphean vibes over here.
So one day he pierced the eye of the sun with a bolo, generating just enough heat to create and sustain life, and was able to finally stand straight, pushing the colder portion of the sky just beyond the earth. They understood that like space was cold. How cool is that?
Amazing. Yeah. And that
God.
the light and the heat of the sun can be really destructive if it's anything less than like literally the like 10th of, you know, the scale that Earth currently exists in.
It's so freaking cool. I love human beings.
Also the ability to conceptualize the sun as like a really big thing that is far away and also huge. That's not intuitive.
No.
Like you look up at the sky or you look at like a cartoon of the sun rising and falling. It's like the atmosphere is like a closed just sphere that just rotates a bunch.
Yeah.
And like that's easy to come up with. The sun's on a track and moves back and forth and is small and whatever. But that is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. Another story tells how there were once 3 gods in the universe. Bathala, who was the caretaker of the earth, Ulilang Kulawala, a huge serpent who lived in the clouds, and Golong Kulawala, a winged god who loved to travel. Same.
Yes.
Tag yourself. But they did not know each other.
Okay. Did they know of each other?
No, they didn't know each other. They didn't know of each other until the moments of this story.
Oh man, don't you love that trope in fiction as well of like, I thought I was the only one, meet another person in my tribe.
It's real cool. I love it. So Ulilong would visit places, and Earth was one of his favorite places to visit because he was lonely. That's the snake guy. One day he ran into Bathala, and Ulilong was not pleased because he saw Bathala as a rival.
Okay, I mean, that happens.
He challenged Bathala to a battle to decide who would be the ruler of the universe, but after fighting for 3 days and 3 nights, Bathala slayed him, burning his remains.
Smart. I mean, the dead can come back most of the time, so, burn those remains.
Bathala then met Galang, the winged god who wandered into Bathala's home. They became best friends for many years,
Oh,
which is very sweet. He's like, hey, I just found this house and you seem cool. Let's
sense
become
in a
friends.
butt.
But then Galang became sick and asked Bathala to bury him where Ulilong's body had been burned when he died.
Okay.
So he dies. Bathala does this for his friend, and out of the grave, the 2 bodies form together to create a tall coconut tree, the first ever.
Whoa, I love that.
Bathala, inspired by the coconut tree, decides to create creatures for the earth, building the first man and women a house out of the trunk of the coconut tree and allowing them to drink the milk and eat the coconut, eventually learning how to make clothing and tools and rope from the tree.
Yeah, and like the coconut tree, as Moana taught us, has everything you need for the most part. That's a really good first object.
Yes.
And predates human beings, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. And he was like, I need something, something to like eat these coconut things and make stuff with it. Cool. We'll make people. That seems cool. That seems like the opposite way that things work, but I like it. You know what I mean? Like we as human beings are very much like, I need a thing. I'm gonna make that thing. Where this god was like, I love this tree. I'm gonna make people to use it.
Yeah, I mean it's very beautiful though because in its use, that thing becomes even more useful and special. Even though it necessitates the like consumption of the thing in order to give it this different purpose.
Bathala had a lot of kids. The ones that I'd like to focus on today are the 3 daughters that Bathala had by mortal women, because I think that gives them a nice little twist, and I like their stories the best.
Also gives you the ethos of large Irish families, which are, some are going to be okay.
Some are going to be fine. It's cool.
You got 12, some will be fine. Don't worry.
So we're going to start with Mayari, who is the oldest of these daughters.
Word.
One of Mayari's infamous stories was about her rivalry with Apolaki. So Apolaki was the son of Anogalai, the goddess of lost things, which, oh man, I want to dig into that, but another time.
That's a tombstone epitaph for you. Goddess of lost things. Like, imagine who will come to the... Oh, I love it.
And Dumakulem, who is the guardian of the mountains. And they were born around the same time, Mayari and Apolaki. The light that shone upon the world and enabled the people and animals to see came from the bright eyes of both Apolaki and Mayari. They were loved by all because they provided this light that allowed people to see everything.
I mean, yeah.
Because the light of the world shone continuously from their eyes, it was always daytime on Earth.
Okay.
In the story, Bathala grows sick and falls into a deep slumber, and Apolaki and Mayari have a quarrel, each wanting to take his place and rule the world alone.
Okay. Classic succession drama here.
Yes, for sure.
Maybe the first.
So Apolaki told Mayari, I am the man and I will succeed Bathala to the throne. But I know. But Mayari said that she would be the one to take her father's place as she was her father's daughter. They fought until words could no longer express their rage, so they picked up clubs and began to battle.
Oh no. I like how they started with words though. Like good effort, y'all.
Hey, debate first and then pick up weapons. That seems fair.
Yeah.
So they fought until Apolaki was able to strike Mayari in the face, blinding her in one eye.
Oh no.
Yeah.
/ I see where it's going and I love it.
Seeing what he had done, Apolaki stopped the fight and apologized, offering to share the world equally between them, saying, let us reign by turns and be friends.
Okay.
So Mayari agrees, and they split their reign into 2. Apalaki becomes the sun, flooding the world with warm light because the light beams from his two bright eyes the light still filled the world while he ruled.
There you go.
Mayari became known as the moon, bathing the world in cool and gentle light because she was blind in one eye.
Hot take, moon's better.
Totally agreed.
Think about all the stories we've heard the moon involved in.
Always better.
So much better.
100% of the time.
You got gardens, you got cool nighttime flowers, you got wolves, you got fertility tie-ins, got tarot. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah. So just a note, because I'm sure someone will bring it up. In some stories, Apalaki is also known as Adloa and is one of Bathala's other children, which adds a whole other level to the story.
Oh, of this sibling situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're not siblings in the story that I told, but
right.
In some stories they are siblings, and it's a whole thing.
I like, though, that they can both be what they are and be complementary. I love this kind of balance, whether it's like our very first episode with Persephone in the seasons, or like the very many gods and goddesses we've talked about that embody diametrically opposed things. I think it's really instructive for just your life to hear examples of how in, mythology and folklore, different things can actually both be valuable and be more valuable for the presence of the other. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be one winning out.
Right. And I like the idea too, because a lot of times when you're looking at folklore about the sun and the moon, they're like rivals.
Yes.
A lot of the time. And like this was the case there, but they decide, hey, this is stupid that we're fighting. Let's share the universe itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a much better ending to the story, in my personal opinion.
Absolutely. And as anybody near the poles of the earth will tell you, all night or all day, not great.
No, it kind of sucks. Aside from this story, Mayari is known to be the most charming and beautiful of the goddesses, and is also the goddess of combat, war, revolution, hunt, weaponry, beauty, strength, the moon, and the night.
What more do you need?
I mean, she's basically got it all covered.
Agriculture, whatever, fine.
Just goals, honestly. In her honor, there is a courtship tradition that takes place on the night of a full moon. Suitors give a corsage of sampugueta, which is a type of flower, I think, to the woman that they're interested in, and if she accepts them, she wears the corsage, and the two pledge their love with the moon as their witness.
Love it.
It's really
Sun god,
cute.
get at me.
Get at our level. By ours, I mean we are both moon goddesses.
Round, craggy, sometimes got half a face, sometimes not there. Affect the water around me. Moon goddess.
Correct. That's us. That's both of us. We're going to move on to Tala, who is the goddess of the morning and evening star, and her name means bright star.
I am hearing some liminal space vibes, and I love it a lot.
Mayhaps.
Some transition between night and dark. And those are the same thing, and light. Every year on RuPaul's Drag Race, there's this thing called Snatch Game, where the queens sort of dress as celebrities and like have a panel show. It was fucking incredible this year. Someone was Maya Angelou and like quoted poetry, and it was incredible. But they brought back my favorite Snatch Game participant of all time, who is a queen that dressed up as Judge Judy, and RuPaul loves Judge Judy, and to see RuPaul just like laugh over just the appearance of this queen in Judge Judy drag was like the best thing I've ever heard.
I love it. That sounds amazing.
So good.
With Tala, there is a story about how the sun god in the story is known as Aro, and Mayari both had large families of stars, but Mayari was worried that her stars could not survive the heat of Aro.
Okay.
So they both agreed to destroy their stars. But when Aro devoured his, because, vor.
Men.
Just made myself laugh with a vor joke. That's fine.
Listen, I don't yucca yum. Live your life.
Mayari instead hid all of her star family in the clouds.
Yes.
Where they would occasionally emerge because, they're clouds. They're not super, they're kind of patchy at times.
They're very chill.
So Aro discovers this and is angered and eternally is pursuing Mayari in an attempt to destroy her. Hence the sun and moon going round and round.
I like them just equitably sharing Earth better, but fair enough.
So at dawn, Mayari hides the stars and brings them forth only when Tala, who is the evening and morning star and is first to appear and last to disappear at night, says that the sun is too far away to capture the rest of the stars.
That is very beautiful. I like that image a lot.
That imagery, really. It's awesome. I love it.
Do you remember when we first learned that clouds were water? Do you remember that? It was
I don't.
I mean, you might have like learned it just in your as a kid, but for me it was in 8th grade earth science where we were learning about the like various states of water.
Yeah.
And then I just like, for whatever reason, the first time I put it together, that clouds were just like water hanging in the air. And I was like, ah! It was like it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. It was amazing.
I like your cloud revelation, and I like that it took you to the age 13.
Listen, I have other strengths.
All right. I know you do. Just not pop culture.
I took in 9 on my Earth
stuff.
Science regions. Missed that hundo.
So
well.
close. Okay, so Tala is said to have supported the creation of the Tagalog traditional constellations and uses light spheres or orbs to ferry men to safety at night.
Ooh.
This, of course, was ruined by the Spaniards.
Damn it. Spain?
Who demonized the light orbs and called them Sant Elmos, St. Elmo's fire.
Yeah.
So they are now considered a creature in Philippine mythology and are called a ball of fire in fields and swamps. It bounces along and rolls away. It changes into a beast with fire in its mouth. Travelers and fishermen follow it at night. They walk and walk till they are tired out. Then they cannot find their way home. They walk into the deep mud and thorny bushes. They get dizzy and become insane. They must reverse their clothes to send it away. Then they can find their way home. So this actually mirrors a bunch of different trickster spirits from Western folklore. So it's not completely surprising that the Spaniards adapted those lights into something malicious because it's what they were familiar with.
Yeah, and that's how syncretism goes, is either you subsume an existing tradition and say, yep, that one's Jesus, don't worry, that's God, yep, that too.
Or it's a demon.
You make it part of kind of demonology.
So rather than them being guides from the goddess, which is a much more pleasant imagery.
I was going to say, it's such a nice departure from this like will-o'-the-wisp style, like inherently malicious, trickery type thing.
Yeah, nope. Instead, they are tricksters that purposely get travelers lost, which kind of sucks.
Damn it,
Thanks,
colonialism.
Spain.
Come on.
So the last is Hanan, who unfortunately is not as popular as her sisters. I couldn't find as much information on her. She's listed within the trio constantly.
Right.
But
she's the Peggy.
Yeah, she's the Peggy. So she is the goddess of the morning.
Okay.
The first prayer of the day is given to Bathala, Apalaki, and her as a sign of the new day.
All right.
She is involved during the entrance of a new age or a new phase in a person's life. She is offered bountiful harvests and prayers during the birth of a child, the transition into adulthood, the death of a person, the entrance into planting season, the beginning of a new harvest, and the start of the annual cycle.
Love it.
There's your liminal.
There she is, my liminal goddess. I love it.
These prayers must be done at the break of dawn, because morning. And her symbols are the dawning sun and, of course, the rooster.
Hey.
So that's our daughters and Bathala.
I love them all. I love this creation myth. I love the Philippines.
Me too. Same. We should do a trip to the Philippines. That's going to be like a high Patreon goal.
I know, right? Or like, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think we can make a TV show, and I think it could be about traveling and experiencing folklore in different places. And that's all I'm saying.
Hey, TV networks, hit us up.
Hey, if you're a TV producer or you know one, get in touch.
So I think that was a rather sweet episode.
I do. I like it a lot. I like that it's stuff that I, look at and experience every day. I love that version of a like benevolent will-o'-the-wisp, a sort of, guiding force. I also just love, I know this is a little bit like inherently gendered, but I love stories where either it's true or fiction, like women have to kind of resort to subterfuge and like they don't have the inherent power in society and aren't gifted with like resources and like the power to do things, so they make do with what they have, and it's hiding, it's doing things in the background, it's like the slow burn long con, and I just think it's great. It's doing what you can with what you have and being badass despite society not letting you be.
I 100% agree. And I love stories about empowering women.
Right on.
And like literally fighting for like their control over the world. That's
I know.
Cool as hell.
And I love that in the version that you shared today, her answer to, well, I'm the boy was, well, I'm the girl. Like, what do you want?
I'm the daughter. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're better than me.
It's awesome. So listeners, as you look up at the sun and stars and moon, remember,
stay creepy.
Stay cool. Spirits was created by Amanda McLaughlin, Julia Shafini, and Eric Schneider, with music by Kevin MacLeod and visual design by Allison Wakeman.
Keep up with all things creepy and cool by following us at Spirits Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. We also have all of our episode transcripts, guest appearances, and merch on our website, as well as a form to send us your urban legends at spiritspodcast.com.
Join our member community on Patreon, patreon.com/spiritspodcast, for all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff. Just $1 gets you access to audio extras with so much more available too. Recipe cards, director's commentaries, exclusive merch, and real physical gifts.
We are a founding member of Multitude, a collective of independent audio professionals. If you like spirits, you will love the other shows that live on our website at multitude.productions.
And above all else, if you liked what you heard today, please share us with your friends. That is the very best way to help us keep on growing.
Thank you so much for listening. Till next time.